Good afternoon, everybody. A very warm welcome to this afternoon's presentation. I'm sure most of you know me by now. My name is Barry. I am the Sales and Marketing Manager here at Bigton Travel. And today it'll be me presenting to you on all things Christmas markets, the Christmas markets of Europe as we cruise down the Danube. Now, some of you may be aware that we have chartered a special departure just for Bigton Travel guests, which will see an 8-night holiday cruising down the Danube in late November, allowing you to sample all these beautiful markets that take place predominantly throughout Germany and Austria, but certainly have expanded to be in other places within Europe right now. And they generally kick off around about the 24th of November or the nearest weekend to that. The picture that will be coming through to your screen just now is actually one of the largest Christmas markets, which is actually in front of the town hall in Vienna. And the beauty of this departure is when you see the itinerary in a few minutes that you will be spending a whole day and a half in Vienna with that overnight stay there to allow you to sample many of the markets. In fact, in Vienna, there are more than 12 different Christmas markets. So we'll spend a bit of time talking about some of the towns and villages that you'll visit. On the screen in a second, you'll see a day-by-day itinerary for the actual river cruise. Once we've looked at some of these destinations, we'll also then take a little look at the riverboat, which is the A-Rosa Donna, which was refurbished at the end of last year. So she's looking particularly nice. And as you can see from the itinerary on your screen, it is a full 8-night departure, which is unusual at this time of year on the Danube. Most Christmas market cruises are generally of about 4 or 5 nights in duration, but we've purpose-built or custom-built this itinerary to allow you to make the most of your time on the Danube. So we have an overnight stay in Vienna, arriving on the second day and leaving late on the third day. We have an overnight in Budapest. And then we also have some late departures in Melk and Linz, allowing you to really just make the best of your time whilst in Europe. Now, of course, you're not going to go all this way just for an 8-night cruise. So we do have some pre and post tour options also available for you. We'll get towards those towards the end of the presentation. Now, excuse me. As we mentioned, the first port of call that you have is in the beautiful city of Vienna. I touched on the fact there are 12 different market locations in the CBD or the central part of Vienna alone. And the largest one is the one that we saw before. It's the City Hall. But the one that you see on your screen right now is in front of the beautiful and majestic Schönbrunn Palace. And the one on the right-hand side is at Prater Park, which is a bit of an amusement park, but has a great collection of Christmas markets around the entrance to there. And this is just 2 examples. There are other ones, as we mentioned, in front of the City Hall. That's got the ice rink, so if you do fancy getting a little bit active, maybe have a glass of Glühwein first to warm you up and get you ready. But they've got beginners tracks and more advanced areas as well, so very, very easy for you to do that. Now, one of the things that I like to do, and I've done this itinerary myself, or certainly the first part of this itinerary, I like to jump off the riverboat and go straight up to Schönbrunn Palace. Now, given that it does get dark quite early in Europe at this time of year, by the time you get to Schönbrunn Palace, the sun will be just about setting, and it's a good time to take one of the a good time to take one of the last tours through Schönbrunn Palace. You simply take one of the listening devices and go through all the public staterooms. And by the time you leave here, all the Christmas lights will be coming on, the Christmas markets will be opening up, and you'll get to spend a little bit more time discovering the delights here. Now, the great thing about the markets in front of Schönbrunn Palace is there is nothing imported. It is all traditional, handmade articrafts made right there, either in Vienna or elsewhere within the wider area of Austria. And Prater Park, as I mentioned, is just another area to go to. Now, the other thing I like to point out about Vienna is it's really easy to do your own thing. Now, with A-Rosa, we don't actually include any shore excursions as a given, but there will be a few optional ones available on the way. But this map that you see on your screen here is actually the metro system within Vienna, and it shows how easy it is to get around to some of those key places which I've just mentioned. So number 1 on the map with the red circle there, that is the nearest metro station to the docking point for A-Rosa and A-Rosa Donna. So literally about 150, 200 meters away from where the riverboat docks, you can walk up to the metro station, and you can buy a 1-day pass for about €8, a 2-day pass for about €14. That allows you to get around pretty much everywhere that you see. Now, as I mentioned, I suggested that you go straight up to Schönbrunn Palace, so that's usually taking the red line all the way up to where you can see number 2 to Karlsplatz. and then transferring to the green line, which will take you over to number 3, where you have Schönbrunn Palace. As I mentioned, you'll spend a majority of your evening there, and probably about 7, 8 o'clock, you'll come back on the metro through to number 2 again, and this time transfer through to the purple line. That'll take you through to the Rathaus, or the town hall, which is where you'll see the largest of those Christmas markets. And that's where you can, as I said, sample the ice skating, but it also has a really good array of different traditional cuisine to be sampled as well. And there isn't an awful lot of cuisine around the Schönbrunn market areas. There's a lot more to have at the Rathaus. And then by the time you visited there, had dinner and possibly an ice skating experience, or just watched others enjoying the ice skating, you'll probably want to head back to the riverboat, and that just sees you either taking the purple line through to number 6 and transferring to number 1, or going back up to position 2 to then go back down to position 1. Following day, I'd highly recommend you then go back on the metro and go up to Stephensplatz. That's where you'll find the smaller, more traditional markets around the cathedral area, and also in front of the stables of the Andalusian stallions. And later that day, you might then, if you fancy a bit of adventure, head down to the number 6 position. That is where the Prater wheel is, the oldest observation wheel in Europe, I believe. And of course, there is a bit of a theme park or attractions there, but also some great entertainment around the Christmas markets as well. So that allows you to very, very easily fill a day and a half in the beautiful and majestic city of Vienna. After Vienna, we set sail, and you cruise overnight, and early the next day, you'll be arriving in Esztergom. And this is just a brief stop in the morning, and it really is an opportunity for you to just stretch your legs, really. There is no markets here as such. What you do see is the Basilica, which sits high above the Danube there. And this has got significant importance for various different reasons, but this area is also known as the Danube Bend, where the Danube takes a turn on itself and goes kind of almost like a horseshoe. So again, an opportunity for you to just wander off the ship in the morning, go for a little wander, see the sights from the Basilica, and then come back to the ship, because later on that day, we're going to arrive into Budapest. And if you've been to Budapest in the summer months, you'll of course know that it's a city divided by the river, Buda on one side, Pest on the other. But Budapest in winter is completely different again. The most popular market is in Vörösmarty Square, which you can see pictured there. There are about 100 different stalls around here, lots of traditional Czech food available, and it's also not too far away from the main food markets, which are undercover and available all year round as well. So lots of opportunity to sample the local delights. Of course, nothing beats going to the open air spa baths, which are located all over Budapest. The most popular one seen just there. And of course, taking a stroll along the Danube and seeing Parliament all lit up in the evening, even heading up to the Fisherman's Bastion. A lot to see in Budapest on any day, but Christmas and the festive season really gives you that extra element. Now, again, we're here for an overnight stay, so you arrive about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you don't leave until 6 o'clock the following day. So plenty of opportunity to get the most out of your stay there. And if you're looking for something a little bit different, it's not exactly festive, but the House of Terror is also a good place to visit, because that's basically gives people an opportunity to make sure some of the atrocities of the past do not ever happen again, and you get an insight into what the people of Budapest went through the various different regimes. Next, we're off to Bratislava, possibly one of my favorite cities along the Danube. It does remind me a lot of Vienna. It's got a very imperial look once you get into the heart of town, but from the riverboat, I have to say, it does look very Soviet era, lots of concrete, etc. But you literally just cross the road, walk into one of the main squares, and you discover some of the beautiful sights. Of course, you have got the castle up on the hill. We don't have a full day here, though, so you probably won't get a chance to go to the castle, but what you will get a chance to do is sample some of the beautiful coffee shops and their delicate pastries. Of course, the Christmas markets, which are in the main square, but also look out for the modern art, the modern sculptures, which are dotted pretty much on every street corner. You can see just 3 of the examples there of the statue appearing to come out of the underground, or the manhole cover, the photographers, and then the modern art piece over towards the left. From Bratislava, we then spend a scenic morning cruising the Wachau Valley. This is part of the river or the countryside, which is famous for the production of very, very fine wines. You'll see the Dürnstein small village over to the left-hand side, and then you'll also see the monastery that we will pass as part of this scenic cruising. Riesling, of course, being the most popular wine from this particular part of the world. Then that afternoon, we'll arrive into Melk. Now, normally on a Sunday, there's not an awful lot going on in Melk, but it is the festive period. So, of course, they will have the Christmas market. So we arrive about 12 o'clock. I suggest you have a little late lunch on board. Then you can either take a walk up to the Abbey, or you can take the tourist train that's available to take you up to there. Suggest booking into one of the tours to go and see all of the beautiful things to see inside Melk Abbey itself, because by the time you come out of the Abbey, the Christmas lights will be coming on, the markets will be getting popular, and there'll certainly be a local vibe in the markets around Melk. Now, the riverboat, again, is leaving at 10 p.m., so you've got plenty of time ashore to go and discover what are the traditional favourites of this particular part of the world. And don't forget that even little things like glühwein change from village to village. The ingredients or the type of wine or the type of fruit used does change. So glühwein, even though you'll be having it every day of your cruise, will be very different depending on the village that you are in on that particular day. And our last town or village on the river is the beautiful city of Linz. This is one of two Christmas markets that you see pictured on the screen here, the main one being closest to the river. In fact, the blue lights that you see towards the top end of this picture is actually where the riverboat is docked. And that is where you'll find the Modern Art Museum and the Electronica Centre, which are two iconic places that you may want to visit whilst you're there. But as you can see, the Christmas markets are literally, I'd say, 150 meters from where the boat is docked. And if you were to walk kind of behind where the photographer is and back up this main street, you'll come to a main shopping area, and you'll also come to a second set of Christmas markets, which are more renowned for their food rather than their trinkets. This one at the front here is very much about trinkets. The one a little further into town is known more for its traditional cuisine. And also don't forget that you're not too far away from Salzburg. So what we're hoping to do is offer an optional excursion to go through to Salzburg from here, because we have got from 7 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock in the evening. And Salzburg is only about an hour and a half drive from here. And of course, the hills are always alive with music up in Salzburg. And what better time to go there and see the hills covered in snow and discover yet another Christmas market experience. This is your last evening on board the riverboat, though, so you'll probably want to come back and socialize with your fellow guests as we sail away for the last time, because the following day you will be arriving back into Engelhartsel. Now, a lot of people ask, where is Engelhartsel? It's on the Danube. It's just a little further south than Passau. And the reason that the A-Rosa riverboats depart from here is it's actually just beyond the first of the locks that you need to transit. And on any given day, there's a lot of traffic in those locks. So A-Rosa decide to depart from there so that they're not having to wait in a queue to go through the first lock. They can get pretty much underway and get you down to Vienna as quickly as possible. And it's only a transfer of about 30 minutes up to Passau, and we've included that transfer for you, depending on which pre and post opportunities you choose to do so. Now, this 8-night cruise starts at only $2,695, which is incredibly good value. And that's the great thing about A-Rosa. Whilst they don't include your shore excursions, and I honestly don't think you need that many shore excursions on this particular part of the river, they do include your accommodation, all of your meals, that's breakfast, lunch, afternoon tea, and dinner, and all of your beverages on board. And there's quite an extensive beverage menu to choose from, whether it's a gin and tonic, a cocktail, a glass of local wine, local beers, specialty coffees are all included in the cost of this particular river cruise fare. Now, there are 3 grades of cabin on this particular riverboat. The lowest grade is the panoramic window, which you see towards the left, and we'll look at where these are on the deck plan in just a second. The size of the cabins doesn't really change too much. You are really getting a different type of window and a different position on the ship. So down on deck 1, you have these panoramic outside windows. When you go up to deck 3, which is the next category, you have the floor to ceiling windows, and then the highest grade is actually on the middle deck on deck 2 with those Juliet balconies. So if you particularly like fresh air, then this is the deck for you, because you can open those patio doors, get fresh air out, see the world going by. As I say, the size of the cabin is no different. You have a reasonable sized bathroom with a glass shower screen, no shower curtain. And one thing to point out about the lowest grade of accommodation, that on deck 1 with the picture window there, some of them do take a triple. So if you're looking to take another family member with you or another friend with you, where we have those two tables and a chair underneath the window there, on about 8 of the cabins, there is a sofa bed there underneath the window, which can be converted for use as a triple cabin. So lead in down on deck 1, the lowest deck on the riverboat. Then we go to deck 2, which is the highest grade accommodation. That's the accommodation with those opening balcony doors, the Juliet balcony allowing you to get fresh air. And the intermediate pricing is actually on the highest deck, but that's with those floor-to-ceiling windows that you cannot actually open. Now, don't worry about being close to public areas. You can see there's a little corridor there that you need to go down to get to these, so you won't have a huge amount of traffic passing this particular type of accommodation. And it's pretty much midship, and it's pretty much where the gangway will be to get you off the vessel and onto shore as quickly as possible. Now we'll take a little look at the riverboat now, starting off at the front and working our way aft, and this is all the public lounge spaces there on deck 3. So we're starting at the very, very front, looking aft in the panorama lounge. This is where you'll come for your port talks. It's where you might come for a bit of a quiz, a bit of light entertainment in the evening, and of course to have a drink and watch the world go by. And you can see the menus on the table there. I think from memory it's an 8-page menu that has all of the beverages that are included in the cost of your river cruise. Taking a look at it from another angle, this is from the bar looking forward into the panorama lounge. And again, this bar is open pretty much from about 11 a.m. Through to pretty much the last person heading to bed in the evening. Walking towards the middle of the ship, this is the central atrium taken from reception. If we were to look to the left, that would take us down to that panorama lounge. If we look to the right and go aft, that will take us past a small shop and into yet another little bar area. And from here, we also have the A-Rosa Spa. And now, if you've been on a river cruise before, generally the spa or the wellness area is pretty small. I have to say, on the river cruise vessels, it's pretty substantial. You've got a full-size sauna, you've got a couple of treatment rooms, you've got a pretty generous exercise room as well. So if health and wellness is important to you, then there's an opportunity to use this space as well. But as I mentioned, we go past the shop and we come to the second bar area. This is where you probably get a coffee on the way into the restaurant in the morning for breakfast. And don't forget, specialty coffees are included too. You might pick up a cocktail or a glass of wine as you head into the restaurant in the evening. Now, just behind those blinds on the left-hand side, that's a small games room, for want of a better word. You can play cards in there, pick up some board games, Pictionary, Uno, etc. There's things to do as you're doing that scenic part of the river cruise as well. And then we come into the restaurants. Now, prior to what we're currently going through, of course, COVID, this was a buffet-style restaurant. A-Rosa are already operating back on the waterways, and they have changed their operations to be fully served. So you simply take a seat in the restaurant, and everything will be brought to you at the table. Now, whether that continues long-term or whether we revert back to the buffet style, I guess only time will tell. But even when it was buffet, it was very small amounts, and a lot of it cooked to order for you at the buffet. And given that it's dine whatever time you want, when you want, with whom you want, it's never really overly congested. So you've got dining, seating on both sides of that central island, which is where the buffet traditionally was served from. And then as we go a little further aft, we come into a section of the restaurant, which is, I guess, a specialty restaurant on certain evenings of the cruise. And this is where you can pay a small surcharge and have a four or 5 course degustation menu, taking cuisine from that particular part of the river and paired with wines from particular parts of Europe. And there's only 5 tables available, so you can see 3 of them just here, and another 2 looking out to the aft of the vessel. Now, on the aft of the vessel there, that is the outdoor space. This is where they will do probably a bit of glühwein tasting, maybe some schnapps tasting, possibly strudel tasting, little things that they do along the scenic cruising parts of the day as well. And on one side of that aft deck is where the only smoking area is on board the vessel. And then, of course, upstairs on the sun terrace, not that it will be that sunny whilst you're there. You never know, it might be snowing. You might be able to make your own snowman whilst you're cruising on the top deck. But there is also a heated swimming pool. And when I say heated, it's certainly not heated to 30 degrees, but it's heated if you are prepared to take a dip. It's not air temperature water. It has had the edge taken off it, I guess, for want of a better word. So that's a little tour of the ship there. And this picture coming through to you now is one of the examples of the ice skating rink in front of the main town hall of the largest Christmas markets in Vienna. And there is a smaller area off to the side for the beginners to try it as well. Now, as we touched on, you're not going to go all the way to Europe for just an 8-night river cruise. You're probably going to do other things whilst you're there as well. This river cruise will be hosted by Phil and Carol, both the owners and founders of Bigton Travel. And Carol will actually be escorting the pre-cruise option, and Phil will be taking the post-cruise option. So let's take a little look at what that is. Carol will be giving you the opportunity to to do a pre-cruise stay in Berlin and Prague. It's a 6-night package for an additional $2,295. That includes your transfer from Munich Airport, 2 nights accommodation at the Hotel Maritim in Munich or similar with breakfast daily, and a half-day city tour in Munich. Sorry, I'm in the wrong one. We'll go Berlin and Prague. We've got the transfer, from Berlin Airport, 3 nights at the Hotel Maritim in Berlin, including breakfast. We have a half-day city tour of Berlin, including the Brandenburg Gate, the Berlin Wall, and Checkpoint Charlie. We then transfer down to Prague, where we have another 3-night stay at the Grand Majestic Plaza Prague, again with breakfast daily, and a half-day city tour, including the Charles Bridge, the Old Square, the Astronomical Clock, Prague Castle, and the Golden Lane. And then we transfer from Prague all the way through to Engelhartsel to enjoy your riverboats. If time isn't on your side, you need something a little bit shorter, we do have a 2-night option in just Munich. Now, this at this stage isn't hosted, but we do include transfers from the airport, 2-night hotel stay, and then transfer from Munich down to Engelhartsel, which is not too far at all. That's only $895 per person twin share. Or if you want to stay in Europe longer after the cruise and discover the best of Switzerland, and there's nothing more magical than Switzerland in the month of December. Of course, Switzerland being quite an expensive destination. So this 8-night package is at $4,995 per person twin share, but it does include a whole array of different things, such as the Christmas markets in Zurich and Basel, a stay in the romantic city of Lucerne, and it's a Chapel Bridge, of course. We go on the Golden Pass train and we visit the Christmas markets of Montreux. We take a trip to the top of Europe. We stay in Zermatt at the mighty Matterhorn, and we take the slowest train in the world, of course, the Glacier Express, and then get to stay in the oldest city in Switzerland, the city of Chur. So if you have the time and the luxury there, you can do, of course, the pre-stay with Carol, the river cruise, and the post-stay with Phil, or you can just do one or the other. The options and the flexibility really is there for you. Just a reminder of the cruise-only component. It departs 29 November from Engelhartsel, just south of Passau. It's all your meals, your accommodation in one of the 3 different grades that you would choose from, a very wide selection of beverages, some entertainment and onboard activities, your port talks, your maps for the towns and cities that you'll visit, and of course your daily newsletters. The shore excursions are not included. We will have a couple of options available to you prior to departure. Spa treatments are available on board, any purchases, any fine spirits, etc. And the specialty dining that we touched on in that small part of the restaurant are not included. But pretty much everything you need to have a great time in Europe is included in that cruise fare of $2,695 per person twin share. Now, all the details for this are available on our website, bigtontravel.com.au. Or, of course, you can request some specific information sent through to you via your email address. The team are always available in the office to help you. The best email is always info@bigtontravel.com.au. The best phone number is always 93390277. But if you want to come in and discuss the holiday options with you, then I'd strongly recommend that you make an appointment. There is a button on the website, Make an Appointment, that will allow you to choose an appointment with your preferred travel advisor here in the office, or a virtual appointment with that same advisor over the internet, over a Zoom type call like this. But as we slowly come out of these travel restrictions, it's great to see more and more of you coming back to the office and discussing your holiday and travel plans. Just a word of warning, the higher grade accommodation is the one that's selling first. So if you want the benefit of the balcony doors that open to that French balcony, have the fresh air, they are the accommodations that are selling the quickest. So don't leave it too late if that's very, very important to you. And of course, the cruise only deposit is very low, only $250 per person required right now. And the balance not due until a long time, because we're well and truly more than 12 months away prior to departure. And We've taken 25 minutes, so we've got a couple of minutes spare, but we don't have the beauty of being able to take questions in this format. So I would say if you have a question or you want particular information sent through to you, simply give us a call in the office, 933902277 or info@bigtontravel.com.au. And the good news is the team are in the office a little bit longer now. Monday through to Friday, we are here 9 through till 4. And from not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, we will also be open to take emails and phone calls on a Saturday morning between 9 a.m. and 12 as well. Thanks, guys. We hope we've inspired you with a beautiful trip down the Danube. It's, as I say, a beautiful part of the world. And if you've been there in the summer, you really need to go back in the winter to experience the beauty of the Christmas markets. This particular departure is exclusive to Bicton Travel. You won't find another 8-night cruise along the Danube. Everybody else seems to do the 4 or 5 nights, so we're giving you that immersive opportunity to make the best and make the most of every Christmas markets that we can find for you along the stretch of the Danube between Engel-Hartsel and back again. Wishing you the best of the afternoon, and we look forward to hearing from you very, very soon. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of your day.